Coming up tonight, no Mickey Mouse business here. Disney Cruise Lines commits up to $400 million investments for Eleuthera. Former Prime Minister Right Honorable Hubbert Ingram takes his memoirs on tour to Grand Bahama. And Spotlight on Digital Transformation starts tonight. Stay with us for the details in studio. Welcome to our news weekend edition. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Disney Cruise Lines officially has all necessary approvals in place to begin construction for its newest port destination, the Lighthouse Point Eleuthera, in 2024. Regional Public Affairs Director Joseph Gaskin says they have committed up to $400 million for the investment. Initially expected to hire some 120 Bahamians for the construction phase, that number has since more than doubled to 300 openings.
We are promising at least 150 operation jobs, and those are jobs from senior management all the way up and throughout the length and breadth of our organization. Training and professional development programs as well, which we are doing through this hub in our partnership with the SBDC, as well as the University of the Bahamas and BTVI.
Gaskin's also confirming Disney's intention to keep the site open to the public.
And we have promised full access to the site for citizens and residents for non-commercial purposes. So the site will not be locked off to native Eleutherans, to Bahamians. You will still have access to that site.
According to Gaskin's, the cruise line will build sustainably to ensure environmental preservation. A key factor in its project, Gaskin says Disney will only develop 20% of the property.
And in fact, right now, our design only calls for 16% development of that site. Again, 25% of the land will be donated back to the Bahamian people, to the Bahamian government. 59% of that land will be left undeveloped in its natural state. We want to employ sustainable building practices. Again, we're not dredging a pier off the coast. We are using an open trestle pier, which will allow the sea to move through it, which will allow animals to move through it. Elevated walkways so we don't have to disturb the brush around us. 90% of our energy needs will be met by renewable energy. We are looking at massive solar development on that side of the island. Zero waste to landfill, so no need to send waste to landfills here in Eleuthera.
Former Prime Minister Hubbert Ingram taking his book tour to the second city this past week. While officially releasing his book to a room full of supporters and well-wishers, he said that the harvest of planted seeds aren't always fully enjoyed immediately, noting that Freeport was intended to be an industrial hub, but that goal took some time to materialize.
Bit by bit, that reality is coming about. From your early beginnings, from the massive hotel and condo construction, the oil bunkering, the cement production, pharmaceutical manufacture, to more recent hotel construction like the one next door, container transshipment, mining, ship care and repair. It's happening. Not fast enough for us, but it is happening.
Ingram's first book chronicles his career and a broad range of subjects, including economics, politics, and social advancements in the country. He had this bit of advice for the new generation of politicians.
The work of change is hard and is often slow. Progress is only usually achieved gradually. Pragmatism in the pursuit of worthy goals is most often a virtue. When an opportunity arises, as it did for me in the 90s, a new season emerged. I seized it. I was prepared to act with fortitude, do as much as I could, while I could. And I invite those in office today to do likewise.
He added that he believes it is the obligation of older generations, such as his, to be concerned about the future.
I continue to be concerned that too few in our upcoming generations have a deep understanding and appreciation of our history, our cultural roots, our civics, and our political and civic traditions. There's a paradox at the heart of government and politics. To make bold and decisive change, and indeed to continue the essential work of reform and modernization, one must first be grounded in our rich democratic and parliamentary heritage which have served the test generation.
The Ministry of National Security Neighborhood Watch Council launched the National Neighborhood Community Safety app. Greg Michelor is the CEO of Think Simple, the company that created the app free of charge.
We had the opportunity to build a Neighborhood Watch app for the country, our donation, in partnership with Alive. This app will help fight crime through technology.
Minister of National Security Wayne Monroe says the work of the Neighborhood Watch groups has support from all the political parties. He says they are a great help to law enforcement.
The police and coordinators can also send a real-time update regarding the crime and to the NNWC member. It is important for the NNWC member to know that the police is on their way, etc. The app works both on Android and Apple devices. Thank you, Alive, for kindly donating the Android devices.
In hopes of providing an alternative for gangs, the Brotherhood, an organization started by community activist Dr. Carlos Reed, is welcoming new members. The announcement comes after police officials revealed that the recent uptick in criminal activity was gang-related. Founder Dr. Carlos Reed explains what the program will offer to young men.
The Brotherhood will offer all of the attributes that people who join gangs are looking for. Our goal is to empower our communities. We believe that through the empowerment of individuals, our communities can be empowered and thus lead to a shifting in mindsets.
He says the movement is years in the making, adding that they've been active in inner city communities. Currently, the organization has 14 members on the executive board and a few consultants. He adds that the plan is to go into the schools.
We intend to be in every school that's considered to be in one of the hot spots in our nation. We intend to be in every community. The Brotherhood is young, and the Brotherhood is a movement that will be a force in this country.
The Bahamas bringing home the crown from Panama overnight. 17-year-old Flonique Lightbourne was crowned the new Miss Teenager Universe after competing against 13 other teenagers from around the world in her first ever international pageant. Flonique says that moment on stage will live with her forever.
I was crying before they even announced like top 6. I was crying. So when they announced top 2, it just started like pouring. And then they said that they were gonna announce Miss World first, and whose ever name that they didn't call was gonna be Miss Universe. And when they said South Africa, my knees just went numb. My legs turned into noodles, and I just started crying and crying because I've dreamed of bringing the crown home, and now that it's a reality, it was just amazing, like indescribable.
Flonique shares what the experience was like learning about and competing internationally.
Panama, first of all, is a beautiful country with the biggest buildings that I've ever seen, like skyscrapers. And we went to the Panama Canal, which I've been told is the largest canal in the entire world. So that was really educational for me. I really enjoyed that. And just meeting the other girls and learning more about where they're from. I've even made lifelong friends from the Philippines, Canada, and I miss them so much. I just want to go back.
Miss Teen Bahamas Universe director for the past 6 years, Dominic Russell, says that while the success would not be possible without Flonique's mother and their glam team, he knew Flonique would bring something special to the pageant stage, noting her hard work and perseverance despite challenges leading up to competition day.
With this young lady, she just came into our lives, and we just watched her blossom. She is the current queen of Miss St. George's, but she's out of school now. But she just came in. She did what she had to do. With the help of my team, we were able to pull everything together. Another thing too, we had a lot of challenges. One of the biggest challenges that we had was in this whole process, she even lost her father, which was about a month ago, and we had to deal with that.
Acting Director General in the Ministry of Tourism, Latia Duncombe, expressing her pride in Flonique's success.
We are excited about this accomplishment today. Flo is from Grand Bahama, and the Ministry for Grand Bahama, represented by the Honorable Ginger M. Motzi, has sponsored her in the event. So we're elated, we're happy, we're overjoyed. And this just speaks to a lot of the great things that's going on in the Grand Bahama and also the talent coming from the island of Grand Bahama.
Up next for the reigning queen, she says she plans to continue to spread awareness on her platform, mental health among the youth.
Right now, I'm planning on going to schools and holding forums for younger kids and getting in touch with therapists and counselors to more spread mental health awareness.
Still to come on our news, the details on our digital transformation series. And grab those tuxedos, the Cancer Society's Masquerade Ball is on the way. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
Welcome back. Spotlight on Digital Transformation is a series which starts to air right after this newscast tonight. It's produced and hosted by our Candino Knowles, who joins me in studio right now. Candino, give us a sneak preview of what Spotlight on Digital Transformation entails.
Well, you know, Megan, we've been reporting about the economic impact of this health crisis every day for the past 2 years since it was declared a pandemic. And the series really explores that impact and leads us into how really that forced businesses to transform their operations. Some companies were already in the digital space pre-COVID-19. So we take viewers back to the beginning of the health crisis and lead them really on a journey of this massive transformation that ensued as a result of COVID. And we give them a look at what the digital space looks like locally. I spoke with leaders and influencers who share their own stories. They include CBL Group Chairman and CEO Franklin Butler. We featured some of his interview earlier in the week. And we also talked to two heads of local production companies. It was production and audiovisual is one of those areas that, you know, most people didn't realize really that impact that COVID-19 had on that particular industry. So it was important for us to showcase that. And again, being representative of areas that were not necessarily featured in the news as much as, say, tourism, because obviously COVID-19 impacted our number one industry the most, but all of those industries closely tied to it, they were also suffering. And so it was important for us to bring that element into the show. We also talked with the owner of a successful mobile application, I think the country's most successful to date. And each of those leaders, they get really real with us, sharing some of their vulnerable moments during the time of the pandemic, things that they had to face, challenges that they met every day, and really the challenge of leadership. And it was really heartwarming to see these leaders get really real and vulnerable with us. And, you know, we also asked them the question, what will it take really to sustain this digital transformation that we've seen? And also that question of, is there ever any going back, right? And I think for a lot of people who during the pandemic were, you know, having the conversations about when do we go back to normal, right? And even that term that was coined, new normal, right? There were a lot of discussions about that. And so it was important for us to put that question to them. And, you know, that really, I think for us was just important to showcase.
Amazing. Sounds very interesting. I'm sure this is something that viewers won't want to miss. Again, remind persons when they can tune in.
So it's tonight at 8 o'clock, right after this broadcast.
And it's a 3-part series.
It's a two-part series,
series.
And our second installment in the series will focus on disaster proofing, right? We've made the transformation. How do we sustain it? And how do we actually allow it to help us move forward?
Good stuff, good stuff. So you don't want to miss that series. And our Marcellus Hall is up next with a little Sunday evening check on sports. Be sure to stay tuned.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
Now here's our Marcellus Hall with the latest in sports.
Welcome to your Sunday Sports Check here on RTV. I'm Marcellus Hall, and here's what's happening for you. This past weekend saw a number of Bahamian high schools taking part in the Penn Relays in Eugene, Oregon, St. Augustine's College, St. John's, amongst others, all putting up some great performances, especially in the relays. SAC doing well in the women's 4x1 as well as the men's 4x1, and of course the 4x4s also going extremely well. Again, the Bahamas teams acquitting themselves quite well against a number of top-notch schools from around the U.S. and, of course, the rest of the Caribbean. The Bahamas will see some American football, tackle football, returning to its shores real soon as the All-Pro Weekend, sponsored by Rev, will be taking place later on this year. Mikkel Ferguson talked about how easy it was for Rev to jump on board.
Rev is the home of sports. We're the only provider in the country where you could watch sports like NFL Sunday Ticket or NBA League Pass, and right now we have MLB Extra Innings also included in Trio. So it's a pure fit for us to be able to support community events like the Bahamas Pro Celebrity Weekend. We're excited for it. We're excited for our customers to be able to, meet and greet a lot of these NFL players who they're able to watch via our channels as well. And it was just a perfect fit for us. We've invested $20,000 into this weekend, and we're just excited to see how it will pan out.
And that is your Sunday Sports Check. I'm Marcellus Hall. Enjoy your weekend.
Well, he has been described internationally as the Jimmy Fallon of the Bahamas, and it is a title that is well-deserved. Charlie Bahama has been making waves in the television and entertainment industry since the early 90s. And with a 5th season of his new show, Charlie Bahama, now airing on RTV, he has no plans to slow down.
What we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on the out islands of the Bahamas, or as Bahamians say, the family islands of the Bahamas. So we're going to Cat Island. We're going to do rake and scrape with them, bush medicine. We have King Arison, which a lot of people, young people may not know, but he is an international Bahamian drummer, percussionist. He was on the road with Neil Diamond. I mean, I've worked with so many amazing people. So we're going to highlight him. The Bahamen. So like I said, I directed and co-directed Back to the Island, Gin and Coconut Water and stuff. Now we have a new song, or they have a new song called Fire. They're working with this amazing Latin star over there called Mafio.
He says he simply has a passion for Bahamians that are doing great work, and he wanted to provide a platform to highlight them.
We're able to have all these amazing Bahamians on, and a lot of Bahamians don't know about, who live in New York, doing big things in New York, in LA, all around the world. So we have that, as well as our amazing Bahamians here. And then a lot of celebrities who are around the world that have some connection with the Bahamas. Either they come here often, they love the Bahamas, or have just been, or I've worked with them. I've done a lot of music videos for international people.
The veteran producer says he's still very inspired by the industry and all it has to offer.
The generation who followed me have inspired you, so it just keeps going on and going on. And I learned from you guys. Like, I'm watching you guys. Now we have smaller cameras. We have, people can afford this. So the filmmakers, the music video guys, the people who make commercials and stuff like that now, there's so many more of them. And I'm learning from them because it's a new way, you know, with social media and stuff like that. It's a new way of doing things. So I have to watch them. You can't rest on your laurels at all.
And with his new handle on social media, he had one more thing to add.
Watch the Charlie Bahama Show every Friday, 8 p.m. right here on RTV, channel 212.
A beach club located on a key off Exuma is quickly bouncing back amid the global pandemic. Bethany McDermott tells us the small key is fastly becoming a popular spot for tourists and locals.
This is Stalking Island, home to the Peace and Plenty Beach Club and Kahari, which would be the high-end units. According to principal owner Steve Harrington, while the property is a mile away from the hotel on mainland Exuma, these properties saw a successful bounce back amid the pandemic.
Our highest priced product was the first to go. We're at 80 to 90% occupancy constantly. The Peace and Plenty and the cottages were around 70%. So it's good. It's not spectacular, but we're happy with it. And then we're going in, actually, the irony is the summer season is our biggest season, so we're anticipating a good summer.
Harrington said the beach club has been a hot spot for guests and locals. Our News got the full experience, which included a boat service from Elizabeth Harbor offered by the resort. Once we arrived, we met the bartender, Justin, who made this frozen mojito. And after having a cool drink, guests can go into the water for activities like kayaking, which I seem to be pretty good at.
Yep. Am I doing it?
Or if you're just looking to relax on the beach, huts are provided for that too. We ran into these guests who told our News the experience provides a safe getaway.
Here they're not focused on their television 24/7 or the radio 24/7 or the bad news. They're focused on creating good news and good opportunities with good people.
If you know what you're looking for, this is really a great place because there is no other place where you can find so many desert beach, so good people.
The beauty of this is you can remain connected when you're here because you have very good communications infrastructure. I mean, I don't think I've ever watched a television in Exuma.
As the beach club remains a hit among tourists and residents, Harrington said the plan is to do some renovations. That, he said, will include a new restaurant. His inspiration, the Dune restaurant on Paradise Island.
The goal is to draw everyone on the island. There's a lot of rental homes on Exuma, and people are looking for things to do. There's other resorts. We think this will be pretty special once we get that going.
Not only is this a cool getaway spot for tourists to come and enjoy, but the property is also open to locals. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Clearly having too much fun, Bethany. And still to come, you don't want to miss the Cancer Society's Masquerade Ball. Our Jean Joseph sat down with the organizers. And let's take a look at weather when Our News comes back from the break.
Got size at 6'5".
Hi, this is Salute.
Welcome back. Well, we had sunny skies today, but just how long will that last? Let's take a look at weather and find out. And for 46 years, the Cancer Society of the Bahamas has been a tower of strength in the country for cancer patients, survivors, and their loved ones. Their educational programs and support network help countless persons with various needs. Though the pandemic slowed their efforts, they are now back on track with their 20th Masquerade Ball, and you're invited to join in at Atlantis to party with a purpose.
Get those tuxedos and gowns ready, because there's just under a month before we escape to paradise with the Cancer Society of the Bahamas. You're invited to a night of excellence, excitement, and entertainment, Saturday, May 28th at the Atlantis Resort at the first Grand Ball since the pandemic. COVID-19 forced the Cancer Society to host a virtual ball, but they are ready to get the party started and have lots of things in store for you.
So we're going to have the raffle, we're going to have the silent auction, we're going to have the Tony Seymour Band for the cocktail hour. So it's still going to be a cocktail hour and then the ball itself. So for the cocktail hour, like I said, it'll be the Tony Seymour Band and then Visage. Visage will serenade our patrons, as well as we'll have one Dwight on the ones and twos for all of our guests to get down on the dance floor.
While the ball is a fun event, it is serious business, and the proceeds fund the Cancer Society's initiatives. The organization tried new things during the pandemic, doing the best they could with what little they had.
Donations were down, but we did things to compensate. Like we had our Love Lights a Tree at the mall, which was pretty successful. We had a box for the first time, a donation box at the mall for a week, and we did pretty good with that. And we came to the understanding that most people were under the perception that they had to give a large amount of money to Cancer Society. But in putting the box out, people gave $1, $5, $10, and it all added up. And so we did well in that aspect. So we compensated.
Atlantis was pleased to help make this year's event a reality and applauds the organization for its continued efforts.
It was just really refreshing to see how they were so adamant that they were going to do their ball this year and that they were going to be able to provide assistance to these persons that are in need. And that's a big decision to take. It's a really big decision to take, and I do commend them. Atlantis commends them for doing so and getting back on the horse and beginning to provide the services that are so needed in the country.
Just because the country is regaining a sense of normalcy, it doesn't mean that all the COVID protocols are out the window. Testing requirements will stand, and there will be 3 dance floors with one under the stars for those who want to social distance and enjoy the beautiful scenery that Atlantis has to offer.
We understand COVID has really had us in a state of where we weren't going anywhere, and this is an opportunity now for you to come out to enjoy pre-COVID, but in a safe environment.
This year's ball will be held under the patronage of Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis and his wife Anne-Marie Davis, while Darren Bastian and Ayanthi Ferguson will host. Notable social media personalities Vernique and Alive's Timmy will keep the social feeds popping with all the latest updates. Get your tickets now and we'll see you at the ball. I'm Gene Joseph, reporting for Our News.
And on that note, we thank you so much for joining us for Our News Weekend Edition. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard. Have a wonderful evening and beautiful week ahead.